Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 99 of the Everything Moto Racing podcast. I hope you had a good week. We'll start with, I've just got Lauren today, Declan and Lauren. I need some riders of 99, please. I'm sure there's a few. There are a few.
Yep, my dad and I had a conversation about this earlier, and
Nice.
I have a few for once in my life.
Nice. Okay, I'm ready for this.
Yeah, I had a genuine think about it. Obviously, I have to start with Jorge Lorenzo.
Correct, yeah.
That's probably the most
Of course.
obvious
Prominent one, yeah.
Then Rueda in Moto 3.
Yeah.
And then the other one that my dad said I couldn't go on without mentioning was Jeremy McWilliams.
Yes, love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
yeah.
that's my three this week. I feel like I'm making up for the last 10 episodes that I've been on.
Oh yeah. Well, there's one I mentioned last weekend's podcast. I mentioned him.
I feel like you did start mentioning people, and I was too busy telling you to
Shh.
shut up that I feel like I've forgotten who you mentioned.
There's a major one. There's a big one that you're missing.
With 99.
I'll give you a hint. He got a podium in Moto 3 last year. He's a Red Bull Rookies champion.
That means nothing to me.
He's in Moto 2 in Junior GP this year. Just to really narrow it down, he got on the podium at Valencia yesterday.
Oh no.
Carlos Tatai.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm an actual idiot.
That's why Rueda had to run 98 last year, because Tatai was running 99.
I knew there was someone else with 99, but because I've been seeing Rueda every weekend in Moto 3, that's what threw me off.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a number of 99s, though. There's, oh my God, my voice cracked. There's Oscar Gutierrez for the Spanish e-Superbike fans. Adrian Huertas as well. Danny Webb as well. Bit of a throwback, but yeah, Danny Webb. That's kind of it, I think. Nate Minster in Moto America as well, of course. I think I'm running out. I don't think I can think of any more. What number is PJ Jacobson? I have a feeling PJ Jacobson's running 99 in Moto America this year. Hold on, let's get his Instagram up. He is. There you go. PJ Jacobson in Moto America as well this year. Yes, I'm very glad I remembered that, because that would annoy somebody, I'm sure. Is anyone in BSB running 99 this year? I'm not sure.
Jacob Hatch's the only one that comes to mind, but I know he's 96.
Yeah. Let's have a gander, just because.
But other than that.
Let's have a look. Oh no, Brad Pieri's 97, so he's the closest in the main class.
Did we say him for 97? Because I don't remember having that conversation.
I don't think we did, you know. No, I don't think we did. Yeah. Yeah, 99, I guess.
I'm proud of myself for coming in with 3 people. And
yeah,
sorry to Carlos Tatai for forgetting.
I'm sure
yeah, he might forgive me if he ever listens to this.
Yeah, I doubt he will, to be honest. Before we start the podcast, I just wanted to... It's the 22nd of May today. I just wanted to pay a little respect to Nicky Hayden, because it is 6 years today that we lost him. Obviously, great ambassador for the sport. Just an all-round general nice guy. I don't think there's a single person in that paddock, or anybody who's had the chance to even meet him or work with him, who can say a bad thing about him, you know. Just a genuinely lovely guy. Real tragic that he's not around, because I really do think that he would have been able to contribute massively towards, you know, the American racing and the riders going to the World Championship now. Obviously, they've got the American racing team, but I do think that Nicky Hayden could have played a really big part in all of that. And yeah, just genuinely just a nice guy. I don't think there's anybody who could say a bad word about him. You look over Twitter all today, you know, Ducati put out tweets, Honda put out tweets, World Superbike, MotoGP, everybody you think of has put tweets out in respect to him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to take one look at everyone's heartfelt messages today, and you can see how much of a well-loved character that he was. And yeah, I think people's tributes really show what an amazing guy he was on and off track.
Yeah, absolutely. Just an all-round lovely guy, you know. he shared his birthday with Alicia Spargo, I believe.
Oh, really?
I think it's Nicky and Alicia. Hold on. Alicia Spargo. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, it is. Yeah, they do. 'Cause I remember every year Alicia and Nicky would take a photo together if they're in the paddock.
Oh, I
And I'm
love
like, oh, it's
that.
happy birthday today.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really sweet. But yeah. So heading into the podcast itself, I think the main talking topic will be once again Francesco Bagnaia having an absolute PR disaster once again.
I'd hate to be his press officer, to be honest.
Honestly, like it's a weird one because I wish I had the full transcript of what he actually said.
Yeah, I was looking
Um,
for this earlier too and only found the sort of the quote that everyone ran with.
Yeah.
And I know he did say a lot more than that, but I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
because it went into the Italian media as obviously the main talking point of it is that he believes that factory and satellite bikes should have a difference of 0.6 to 0.7 tenths or 0.7 seconds between one another, which on paper you're like, what the hell? Like, no, like,
Yeah.
because then he used the example of Augusto Fernandez getting fourth and things like that, and basically him saying that the MotoGP grid is too close together. And Augusto Fernandez getting fourth is proof of that. When you look at Francesco Bagnaia back in Phillip Island and his rookie year in MotoGP, he got fourth as well. Marquez was a rookie champion on a factory bike, granted, but he was still a rookie doing really good things. But I also understand it and appreciate it from the other side that Pecco is trying to say that MotoGP is a bit too extreme in the fact that everybody in the first few laps are bunching together, which is why you're getting these crashes, which is why you're getting, all these bad things happening, and why it shouldn't be the back markers and the rookies and all that battling in the front guys against the factory boys, because they're rookies, and Van Nij's on a factory contract and he's earned his way onto that factory seat, and therefore, as on the best bike of the grid, you shouldn't be battling with a guy who's in his first year in MotoGP on a gas bike. You should be battling with Fabio Quartararo and EMR and Marc Marquez, the four most recent world champions, of course. But on the other hand, I don't know, it's a tricky one because I don't see a problem after the first few laps, of course, with the satellite riders being as good as, if not better than some of the factory boys, like Marco Bezzecchi, who's only 1 point behind Bagnaia and has won 2 races this year. Bagnaia and Bezzecchi both won a race apiece. No, 2 races apiece, sorry. But yeah, he I don't know, for me as well, before I let you give your thoughts, Lauren, because I realise I'm just talking, it does feel a little bit like he's trying to cover his own tracks. Like, his comments to me personally it sounded quite insecure. It sounded like he was not confident and not secure in himself and not secure that he can actually get the results down there and things like that. There are more points, but I'll let you speak and then I'll carry on a bit more.
Go back to them. He said so much that there's plenty to talk about, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I can understand that he maybe just didn't get his point across in the way that he wanted to. But then again, the interview was in Italian. And you would almost...
And it could be mistranslated.
Yeah, you would almost give him the benefit of the doubt if he was speaking in English or in another language that isn't his first language, and things maybe get... he says something in the wrong way or, doesn't say it how he means it. But I think for the fact that it, one, was in Italian, which obviously is his first language, he is Italian. I think that was sort of red flag number 1 to me, because I was like, he's not, gonna get his words wrong. Yeah. So I think he's just sort of made a bad analogy. Because I totally get what he's trying to say. And everything that he did say is 100% correct. There isn't as big of a gap between factory and satellite bikes as there used to be. Anyone can fight for it. People who aren't ready to be at the front are being thrown in at the front because their bikes are capable of it. So everything that he's saying is 100%, like, you can't deny the facts, but I just don't think that his analogy was the best way of it, because using Augusto Fernandez as an example bit him in the ass because Pecco got a 4th place in his rookie year.
Yeah.
So that's sort of
On a
going,
satellite bike.
you're sort of going, well, you did that, so it's okay for you to do it, but not for Augusto Fernandez to do it. People can take your words and twist them. And then, obviously, because we didn't know the question exactly when the video was put out there, because we only got Pecco's answer, and MotoGP tweeted it as controversial comments from Pecco Bagnaia over the weekend. And you're just hearing Pecco's answer, and it makes him sound bad. Like, there's no two ways about it. It makes him sound bad. So, yeah. I just don't really know how to feel about it all, because I do agree with everything that he said. I just don't think what he said is really gonna help the championship in any way. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna impose a rule on satellite bikes that they're gonna have to be so much slower? What good does that do? You know,
then it just goes back to the old 2012 days,
it
when
makes
it
no
was
sense.
the top 4. Because another point Pecco made, which again I didn't like, was that back in the day, you had the top 4, the big 4, which was Rossi, Lorenzo, Pedrosa, Stoner, and then when Stoner jumped out, Marquez hopped in. So it's still the big 4, with Dovi always, as I would personally, I would say Dovi was always a 5th.
Yeah.
If there was a big 4, it'd be them lot. But if you talk about 5, it was always Dovi in that mix. For me personally, anyway.
No, I agree.
I've said that.
I love Dovi.
Yeah. Great. And I get it on one side, but I don't on the other. So, Pecco is a MotoGP world champion. There are 4 of those on the grid right now. Therefore, the big 4.
Yeah.
These riders should be held in higher esteem to the rest of the grid because of their achievements. These riders also should, realistically, be in the top 5, top 4, pretty much every race because of their prior achievements, which is what we saw back in the day. Obviously, Pedrosa never won a title, but Pedrosa's Danny Pedrosa, and there's a reason why he's one of the greatest riders to never win a championship and why he's a MotoGP legend. And these riders dominated it, and when, like in World Superbike, you have Rea, Toprak, and Bautista, and when one of those is beaten onto the podium, it's a big thing because you've toppled one of the big 3. And for Pecco, I get it. Like, he wants to be looked at as one of these top 4, the top 4 of the current generation, because he is a MotoGP world champion and the reigning world champion. And I get that. But then on the other hand, I personally, and have always thought this, I believe that every rider on that grid should be given an equal opportunity to show their talent and things like that, because you go back in time and there are so many amazing riders that just didn't get a good seat and didn't get the chance to prove themselves. One of the greatest examples I can think of in all of that would be Alvaro Bautista, who's pretty decent on that Suzuki, and then spent the rest of his life on the Gresini, with Gresini for the most part, on like old Ducatis, or he's on the Going Fun Honda as well, it was a factory Honda, but it wasn't a Repsol factory Honda, and he did great. He got a load of podiums. He never won a race, but he was there or thereabout. And then you put him on that factory Ducati at Phillip Island, and suddenly he is a rocket. He is battling for the win. He was second at one point, battling right in that front group. He finished 4th overall in that race. And it just proved that when you put a rider on a top bike, a great rider on a great bike instead of a great rider on an okay bike, it really does make the difference, which is why now I believe in that equal disparity and why there shouldn't really be a top 4. Because I believe that every rider should have an equal opportunity. Like, if Marco Bezzecchi or Enea Bastianini, for example, were on, like, obviously Enea Bastianini was on outdated machinery, of course, but if he was on a bike that was as big of a difference as it was back in 2013 between the factory and satellite bikes, I don't think they'd have won races, and then from there it hinders their career and it hinders everything. I do believe that every rider on that grid should have an equal opportunity to prove their worth, and so I disagree with Pecco on those statements he made as well for that reason, really.
Yeah, and it's his team that he's practically slating Because when you look at all the other satellite bikes on the grid, there's a noticeable difference, in my opinion anyway, between factory and satellite bikes at the minute. Yamaha don't have one. That's massive. With Honda and LCR, there isn't a big difference because everyone's struggling to ride the bike. But at the weekend past, when Marc Marquez was on it, you can see the difference in the factory and the satellite. With Aprilia at the minute, you can see the difference. I do think that's because Miguel Oliveira's out, and
Miguel will be right.
You're not having a fair shout when you don't have both riders there. But at the minute, there's a difference between satellite and factory, and the same with KTM. You've a rider out at the minute, so you can't really fully see the difference. But just having a rookie on your team, there's going to be a difference between your factory and your satellite teams. And I think now that Ducati have got themselves to the point where they have 8 bikes on the grid, and at the minute on the current machinery running between either having a current bike, a 2023 bike, or a 2022 bike, there's not really much of a difference. So it's his team that's created this problem, because it's the Ducatis that are always the satellite teams really dominating when the factory teams aren't doing anything. Like, obviously the Le Mans podium was full of satellite riders.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's amazing to see, because you never would have seen that before back in the day, because there always would have been someone on a factory team.
There'll always be a factory bike. Yeah.
Exactly. And we're in a stage now where I think it's incredible that pretty much all the teams have managed to find something to make a step up. Like, technology and the aero and just the bikes in general are like the best they've ever been in terms of how advanced they are. So in that sense, again, it sort of doesn't make sense, because it's his team that's sort of driven this narrative to make the satellite bike just as good as the factory bike, because all 8 Ducatis are pretty much the same bike at this point.
Yeah, exactly. They're very similar, if not the same.
But you could chuck pretty much any rider on that, and they could get a podium. The rider doesn't
Marquez
have to make the difference as much on a Ducati.
The greatest example there would be Alex Marquez on a year-old bike.
Yep.
Who is riding it exactly with the same intensity as he rode the Honda, but is a second a lap faster.
Yeah.
And you made the comparison as well between the factory and satellites, and it's like, you're right. With Honda especially, Mir and Marquez got to test the new Kalex frame. Rins didn't even sniff at it, because again, factory versus
And the only time
satellite.
he's ever had any sort of look at anything special is when Marc Marquez wasn't around.
Yeah, and that's always been the way with Honda, like always, and that I don't think will ever change. With Aprilia, it's a tough one, and KTM, because I do genuinely believe that if Miguel and Paul Espargaro are at their full fitness,
the gap wouldn't
probably
be
have
there.
both of them in the mix.
But that's why they've
they
picked
would
those
well be there.
riders, because they want their satellite teams to be as good as their factory team. They don't want a gap between their factory and satellite bike, because then you want to be able to have 4 of the best riders in your team rather than only having 2, and having 2 sort of maybe up and coming riders. You want to have the 4 best riders on your bike, and KTM and Aprilia are making an environment where they're going to be able to have 8 of, which they do have, 8 of the most some of the most talented riders of their generation on their bikes. Like, the grid is just stacked at the minute, because we've never been in a situation where there's so many talented people and so many opportunities, because there's so many good performing bikes on the grid now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a point that a lot of people miss about all this, and about having these bikes that are so good, is, of course, firstly, you can attract the best talent. But additionally, because every rider has a chance to get on that podium, it attracts good sponsors to the teams, and sponsors that will pay them money. And I don't think people have realised, but in the last few years, the number of pay riders has decreased to pretty much 0. We don't have riders like Carol Abraham, who was fast on a motorbike, won a Moto2 race. Or was it a 250 race? I can't remember. It was on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
Javier Simeon, who paid over $1 million for his seat at Avintia. Again, good rider, but again, paid over $1 million for a seat. He finished a year prior in Moto2, 19th overall. Didn't really warrant a seat. And again, Tito Rabat, once again with the Avintia squad, who, funny, all 3 riders rode for Avintia at one point. That's ironic, isn't it?
Money talks.
It does. And Tito Rabat, who, again, Moto2 world champion, so very fast on his day. He's now a Spanish Superbike champion last year. But after he stayed in MotoGP a few years too long. When there's talks of Fabio Digia losing a seat after 2 years, that's when you know that MotoGP is in a good place, because they don't need riders to bring money anymore, because riders' talent alone can get them a seat.
But look at...
I mean, some riders might have to bring some money.
Yeah.
Like, I believe Alex Marquez and Estrella Galicia have paid over $1 million for a seat as well.
I mean, to a certain extent, I'd say most riders are where they are because of the money. But
yeah,
we've talked about Alicia Spargo so much over the last sort of 2 years. Who would ever get 18 years in a paddock to prove themselves? You just wouldn't.
No one.
Because times are different now. Like, if he was performing how he did 10 years ago, he'd be out, you know.
He'd be out after 2 years.
Exactly,
yeah.
He'd be gone by now, you know. But that's not the case now. He's at the top of his game, and I think it's more difficult because it's more cutthroat, because there is more talent being like fed in the feeder series in the younger classes, all performing really well. Then you've got your competitors around you that are all starting to compete really well. Like, the talent pool has grown massively, and we don't see the freaks of nature like we used to. I mean, there's a few people who we talk about every week, but the general talent pool in Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP at the minute is the reason why the bikes have been advanced this far and so fast, and why we're in this position. Like, Pecco Bagnaia used this exact system of Moto3, Moto2, satellite bike, factory bike, world champion. Like, I don't know what you want to change about something that works so well, has given you your success.
Yeah, like, that's the problem. Like, if he was on a shit satellite bike, like the ones, for example, that Alvaro Bautista used to ride, would he have been able to have proved himself as well? Probably not. Like, Iannone and Petrucci are 2 guys who went to the factory Ducati squad, but they were on the start of the new era, I would say. Those 2 were the first, I would say, 2 riders to have current machinery in a satellite bike. Like, obviously Alvaro Bautista, like I've said, had a factory Repsol, but it wasn't as factory, whereas Petrucci was pretty much on the same bike as the factory boys when he was in Pramac, and then the same with Iannone, was on pretty much the same bike as the factory boys when he was in Pramac, and they proved themselves in a satellite squad and got up. And then that kind of... Because before then, every rider was on a year-old bike or a 2-year-old bike. There was always the case. I remember Yoni Hernandez rode a GP14 for like 3 consecutive seasons.
Doesn't surprise me.
Which is... No, it's just... Poor guy. But it was like 2016, he was still on GP14. Yeah. You're like, oh my god, dude. You know, because this didn't happen, was now every rider's on the current bike or a year-old bike, and they're all fighting at the top. And like you said, the talent pool's getting bigger and bigger, and the riders are getting faster and faster in the junior classes. You only have to look at this weekend's junior GP that's just gone. Senna Aegis won in Moto2 again by 8 seconds. You had Maximo Quiles, who won both in the... He's already a European current European Talent Cup champion. He was 3rd in the Rebel Rookies last year, and he started one of the races in P25 and won it by 8 seconds.
Oh my god.
Like, 25th to 1st and 8 seconds on everybody? What the hell?
I just quit racing if that happened to me.
Yeah. Like, he's one of the biggest stars of the future. And then you look in the Junior GP class itself, and you got Angel Piqueras, who's won his first ever races in the series, and he won both of them. You had Joel Esteban, who's a rookie, on the podium as well. It's like, the talent just keeps coming.
Yeah.
And it's not going to stop.
I think as well the problem with Pecco's entire answer was that he was asked about safety,
Yeah.
And I think that people obviously ran with the fact that he was bashing Satellite and Factory. And I think,
Yeah. He was talking about safety.
yeah, and I think that sort of
Yeah, like
got
you said.
brushed over with the fact that he's actually concerned that there's been a lot of crashes this year. And his crash with Mavic Vignale is obviously being the reason that he was trying to make said analogy. And he is
Mm.
right in that sense that there has been so many crashes this year, and I hate to say it, in fairness, it has made the racing exciting, yes, to a certain point, but it's also ruined the racing for so many riders this year. Like, so many riders. Nea Bashnini, Paul
So on the
Espargaro. Well, I know Paul
sidelines.
Espargaro's was sort of on his own sort of
Yeah.
thing, but
Miguel Oliveira.
yeah, you know, Fabio got arm pump in the last race. He says it was because he got some sort of like aggressive massage beforehand, but God knows.
Oh my word.
Like Raul Fernandez had arm pump too, and has had surgery on it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, he has, yeah.
that's a really concerning 5 races into the season that these sorts of things are happening already.
And sprint races aren't helping it at
No,
all.
exactly. And I just think that I understand that he's trying to talk about safety, but I don't understand trying to suggest that satellite bikes need to be slightly slower, because I still think that you're going to get the same people pulling rash moves, making stupid decisions, making stupid overtakes, being overly aggressive, because if they were on a slower bike, they're going to have to make the difference. The rider is going to have to push even harder to get to the front. So in my mind, if the satellite bikes were made slower again, you're actually going to end up worse than you began, because you're going to have people making even crazier Hail Marys to get past you, because they need to make the difference, because they need to show that they are good. Because if they
Yeah,
just sit behind
absolutely.
you and it finishes all factory bikes and then all satellite bikes, how are you ever going to get progression? How are you going to get the talent? How are you going to, MotoGP is like a washing machine, and then people get chucked out
Yeah.
afterwards. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And if people aren't given the opportunity to show how good they are, and are then forced to make stupid moves due to having to override the bike, like look how bad Fabio's been this year because he's been having to override a bike.
Yeah.
You can't show your full potential. So it would shit
No.
on basically every single satellite rider there is. And the factory boys just
Yeah.
get to sit there all nice and perform week in,
On
week
a
out, because they've got the best bikes under them. And they won't make silly moves on each other because they all know they're at the front and they've got nothing to worry about. Is basically, I'm just like, how are you making this safer by
yeah, it's
suggesting that?
not at all. And in addition to that, like you say about the opportunities and things like that, if the satellite riders are all far back and a rider like Pedro Costa comes in, who's looking really good in Moto2, for example, what's to stop the teams, because obviously they had the rookie rule years ago whereby you couldn't have a rookie on a factory
Yeah.
bike. But that rule doesn't exist anymore thanks to Mark Marquez and Honda. So what's to stop a factory bike going, you know what, screw all these satellite riders now who are too slow. We want Pedro Costa on the factory bike now. So let's just sod off all these ones who've been in MotoGP and just get the Moto2s onto the factory seats.
Yeah.
And you create the same problem that we had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Whereby, and the whole reason why that rookie rule was put in place in the first place. And so, because like Danny Pedrosa, Alvaro Bautista, Jorge Lorenzo all went straight into factory seats, and Nicky Hayden as well. And the riders who were in the class at the time were all bypassed because there's a fast rider in the 250 class, so why wouldn't we sign them instead?
Yeah.
And yeah, it just creates the same problems they had years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think as a whole, what he said was right, but it's
Yeah.
just quite possibly the worst analogy he could ever use.
Yeah,
And also,
which is just typical of Pecco.
well, yeah, pretty much. And then what was worse is when he tried to clear up his comments. He didn't clear it up at all and just went, you guys don't understand what I'm trying to say, and you guys just twist everything that I say, which is partially true.
Yeah.
The media hates him and doesn't make him out to be the best person ever.
No.
But he doesn't help it because he didn't he didn't clear up any of his comments. He could have just went, look, I think you guys completely misunderstood where I was trying to come from. And maybe tried to explain his thought process behind his analogy, and then I think everyone would have went, all right, okay, yeah, that's cool, like that makes more sense now. Whereas I'm still as confused as I was when I first heard it, and all he's basically said is, I'm gonna stop talking about the things that happen off track. I'm just gonna focus on my racing, which just makes it boring. Like,
Yeah, it does.
you like I like the animated characters. I like the people who chat, all these Moto3 and Moto2 riders hilariously in Parc Fermé, talking after races, and they're also animated and it's funny, and I don't want to watch an interview where you're just going, yeah, it was a great race. And that's
like
that.
F1 when they have the driver there, but then they have their PR person right by them.
Yeah.
So they can be like, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. And like, chill out, and I don't like that, and it is going that way a little bit.
Yeah.
But just use your brain, Pecco. Like, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but, just think about what you say a bit more, dude.
I know.
Because the amount of times he
yeah.
said stupid stuff is, like, insane.
It doesn't help that the championship completely screwed him over with this one. I think this one's fair game.
Dorna, again, has vilified their rider.
Yeah.
Dorna's fault,
he got completely thrown under the bus by this tweet being put out. I think it was put out on Instagram too. And then obviously getting the likes of Hervé Poncharal involved, hearing it
bullshit.
as out of context as the rest of us did. And he's obviously going to get annoyed about it, and everyone else is going to get annoyed about it. And it's just like the fake narrative that's been pushed. Like, I think they're just trying to create a villain. Someone compared him to Max Verstappen, and I'm like, you're so right, because everyone makes Max Verstappen out to be this horrible person.
Like, Drive to Survive destroyed Max's personality.
And all he's done
no, he's a good guy.
is win. Like, he hasn't done anything wrong.
No.
So I don't get why they're trying to do the same to Pecco. Like, he's done a few questionable things, and they've just hopped on that and gone, we're going to make you out to be the shittest person in the world, and you're not going to help yourself because you are going to get annoyed at the media constantly coming at you, and then you're going to throw your hands up in the air and basically say fuck off to everyone, and that's going to make you even more unlikable, and we're just going to continue creating content on that.
Yeah, like, I can't remember, there's another rider they did something similar thing to recently. I can't remember who it was, but it's the thing with Dorna, they just seem to screw their own riders over, and it's on social media, and I don't really know who's running these Dorna social media accounts, but it's not great, especially when they've used that clip and they've not really given any full context to it and things like that. They've just gone, here's the controversial comments from Pecco Bagnaia, and then they've gone, oh, and Hervé's called it bullshit as well.
Yeah.
Like, way to, cause division in the paddock for no reason.
Yeah.
And, like, cause Pecco to be an absolute, look to be an absolute villain of a person when maybe he has his best intentions with it and didn't mean anything bad about it,
Well, it makes him sound like he doesn't like Bez, because Bez is 1 point behind him in the championship, but Bez is probably one of his closest friends in the whole paddock, him and the rest of the VR46 guys, and it's like, it feels very 2021 and 2022 when they tried to put him and Fabio against each other, when they never actually battled each other on track, yet they tried to make it out like there was this big fight going on between the two of them. And it's like, they were going back and forth and who was going to win the championship, but they never actually battled for it on track. So I don't really know why you were trying to make that out like it was some great rivalry when it wasn't.
It really wasn't. It was just two guys, isn't it?
Yeah, like they barely seen each other on track, and they've not seen each other on track at all this year either. So they're just trying to find someone else to throw into the mix, and Bez is the closest in the championship at the minute. So
yeah, and they're two good friends, like.
What narrative are you trying to push? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. But yeah, speaking of Pecco, before we move on, he's also confirmed he's had an injury to his ankle. I can't remember what it was called. Let's have a look.
I can't. I did
Can't
just
find his
look this up.
There you go, Pecco Bagnaia. There you go. Thought he blocked me for a second.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, it's social media manager he's talking to because he's used the same photo twice on Twitter. But he said, when I returned to Le Mans, I kept feeling pain in my right ankle. Decided to undergo further medical checks at the Mazzano Medical Center, which I found a partial talus bone fracture. This will not prevent my participation in the next Italian Grand Prix. So he's got a fracture in one of the bones in his ankle. He's got a few weeks. I think he'll be fine.
I think he'd be fine too. I
I
don't really find the need for them to let people know if it's not going to hinder him.
Well, he's got an excuse if he doesn't perform and win the race at Mugello.
That makes sense. I never thought about that.
I think most riders probably would have just
not said anything.
Yeah, just kept it under the bus.
And then if they did perform bad, they go, "Oh well, actually."
By the way, it broke my ankle.
Yeah.
But now, if he goes into Mugello and something happens, he's got an excuse. He's got a broken ankle. Maybe, I don't know. That's just my twist on it, but
yeah.
Right, going on to something very interesting that happened this week. About a week ago, maybe a week and a bit ago, on the MotoGP podcast, Aleix Espargaro said that a rider had got engaged.
Is he engaged? Because I don't. Have you heard something I haven't heard?
Well, Marquez, who, firstly, I'm very impressed by the fact that he is so good at keeping his private life as private
That's not
as
where
it
I thought
is.
you were going with that.
No, I know you. I'm impressed because he is the center stage. He has as we said in the previous podcast, triple, maybe quadruple the amount of Instagram followers or whatever than the rest of the grid. His life should be on the cover of every bloody GQ magazine or whatever in Spain. His girlfriend surely has been seen out in public with her at some point.
They obviously never go out together.
Well, they didn't even follow each other on Instagram the other day, but now they're official. They do.
Yeah, that's a big thing because he shared a photo of his hand and what we assumed was a woman's hand.
Well, it's on the ring finger though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's on her right hand.
It's a left hand.
Was it?
Hold on, I'll try and find it. Hold on. I could be wrong.
Oh no, I think it was her left hand. But it wasn't an engagement ring.
Wait, yeah, Mark had his right hand. She had her left hand on it.
Okay.
But there's a big ass diamond in the middle of it.
But what scared me about that was that people found her in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah, because everyone thought it was Maria Pedraza from the show Elite because she was in the paddock recently. But how the hell do you find? Because I found it on Twitter, they're saying this girl's name, and so I found her Instagram account because they posted.
Yeah, someone shared it with me because I went, "Oh, who is it?" Because obviously she wasn't tagged or anything, and then people had found it instantly. Yeah,
so I went onto her Instagram and there's no thing of Mark,
no.
But I found a few things on her Instagram hints.
Oh, I had a look.
Yeah, because she was wearing a showy helmet in one of the Instagram things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
She had a red bracelet on,
I didn't
a wee string bracelet, and in Le Mans people were saying, "Oh look, Mark has this red string bracelet on." But Fabio Quartararo had one on too, so everyone thought Mark and Fabio were wearing fucking friendship bracelets. But it turns out it's his girlfriend.
It was her.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's another one where there's a Red Bull fridge in the background with an Alpine Stars hoodie behind it.
That's so obvious.
There's another one she put on the story and she's got the ring on her finger.
That's why I don't think it's an engagement.
But it's her left hand.
But someone tweeted that in Spain it's quite common to wear an engagement ring on their right hand. I don't know how true that is, though. I just read a tweet about it when it was all blowing up.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Well, either way, very happy for the man.
Fair enough.
I hope she makes him very happy.
Yeah.
Regardless of if they're fiance or just a girlfriend. He said on the all-in thing to his granddad, didn't he? I'm going to get a girlfriend at 30.
I found that so funny. He's like, I'll have a girlfriend before I'm 30 or when I'm 30 or something like that.
Yeah, and bang, he's 30 and boom, girlfriend.
Girlfriend. Just like that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe she can calm him down a little bit. Maybe, I'm not sure. But I don't
he
know
was
because I don't
quite
know how long
chill
they've been
in Le
together.
Mans, so
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she's just gone, bro, just stop being a dick, all right? Just chill.
well, it's like
And he's gone,
something
all right.
something extra. Like a lot of the riders who have families and stuff like that, like Alicia Spargo, for example. You know, he's so open about, you know, the dangers of riding and how much he wants to go home and see his family a lot of the time. So you never know for the likes of Marc Marquez.
Well, it sounds a bit strange, but it gives them something more to live for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's more like the rational part of their brain probably starts to outweigh the bit that's just fully bike, like doesn't care
Unless
what happens.
Unless you're a TT rider anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're TT rider. Like Glenn Aaron was a bit like, oh, because I got a family. But like, see other riders on TT good with kids and families, and like John McGuinness and all that, and you're like...
I respect Glenn Irwin so much for that,
way.
though, to go, I want to do it and want to do it. Went ahead and did it. Was unbelievable and just went, right,
That's
okay,
been amazing.
that's me. I'm done now.
Yeah.
Even though he could have went on to do, you know, try and chase records and stuff like
TT,
that.
Yeah.
But he went, no, I've done it once. That's enough for me. I'm going to go home to my family now. So
yeah, fair play to him.
You never know.
Yeah, I do love that.
It could make the likes of Marc Marquez more rational, and especially because he's talked about retirement so open now, like he did in the All In documentary, that you never know, something like this could be good for a rider like Marquez. Like he might actually take himself into consideration a bit more and like his well-being over results.
You'd hope so, but this is Mark Marquez.
So we never know.
You never know. It's ironic we're talking about Glenn Irwin because on my other screen I've literally got a tweet. I've got Twitter open and Glenn Irwin's tweet is on my screen. So that's
you just
funny.
tweet?
Yeah, he's tweeted about sending somebody to the Manx Grand Prix, which is very nice. Whenever I see Glenn Irwin on my Twitter feed, it's always something really nice.
Yeah.
It's either that or he's arguing with someone.
Yeah. No, he has a lot of time for his fans, usually.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, Glenn Irwin. Is he currently leading BSB? I can't remember. I know he was leading it before.
I don't think so.
Donington. He's really good in BSB this year, like, because Max Kirk got really good results.
He did.
He's been on a podcast recently. He did so well. Charlie Nesbitt did really well as well. Oh, it's Tommy Bridle that's leading now.
Yeah, Glenn didn't have that great of a weekend.
He's got 3 points on Glenn Irwin in second, and 2 points back is Josh Brook, and another 4 points behind that is Leon Haslam. Another 1 point behind that is Kyle Ride. Top 5 are split by 10 points.
Love that.
Wow. I love BSB.
It was such good racing at the weekend too.
I didn't see
I caught
it, unfortunately.
One of the races, and it was really good.
Andy Irwin crashed out of all three, didn't he?
I watched him crash out of one of them. Oh, speaking of that, did you see the stewards' decisions all weekend? How well laid out, precise, and this is what we're going to do. We've spoken to the riders. We've heard both sides of the story. We're making our minds up with the riders involved, and here's our statement of what's going on.
Yeah.
How unbelievable
here
was
it
that?
is. Black and white.
Yep.
Like Stuart Higgs and all that, they do run a very good show in BSB.
100%.
Like, everything in BSB is really well done. Like, for example, if you crash in a race, that's it. You can't remount. You can't get back on your bike in race, and leak oil on track and stuff like that, and there's a lot of things in BSB, like the penalty points that we were on about the other week, that other championships could take a leaf out of, because it's separate to Dorna as well. It's not, like, it's an FIM championship, but they're separate to Dorna and things like that, so they can kind of run their own things. I think it's an FIM, it should be. I know it's part of MSVR, but I believe it's an FIM.
Well, you'd imagine so, yeah.
British Superbikes. The normal FIM point scoring system. Yeah, British Superbikes FIM. Yeah. There you go. Phew. British Superbikes is part of FIM. That's good. Start date and end date. It was last year, this document thing I found anyway. But I'd assume it's part of the FIM, because literally every motorcycle racing thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really, really good racing in BSB. I was with our old podcast guest the other day, Max Kirk.
Yeah.
He did very well, so very happy for Max. Probably not listening, but yeah, good on you,
just in
Max.
case he is. There you go.
Yeah, and Ryan Vickers got his first podium after years. Like it's been years coming for Ryan Vickers. But yeah,
All good.
BSB.
All the shout outs you
And
needed.
yeah, exactly. And one other point I wanted to make before we move on to Toprak, which is probably the biggest point as well. Jake Gagne won. I think he won both races in Moto America this weekend, and is now the fourth most successful rider in Moto America history with 32 wins to his name.
That's mad.
And he's done that in like 3 seasons. He won 17 races in one of the seasons. So, yeah, fair play to Jake Gagne. Would love to see what he could do on a Pata Yamaha in World Superbikes.
Well, there is a free spot open.
Yeah, that's strange, that, isn't there? Yeah, there's now a free spot available in the Pata Yamaha World Superbike squad after Toprak Razgatlıoğlu dropped a bombshell that he was leaving Yamaha at the end of the season and signing for BMW.
I was awake for 15 minutes this morning. And that bomb was dropped on me. And I was like, I might just go back to bed, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't blame you, to be honest.
Mad.
Yeah.
But it was a couple hours between the two, which made it worse.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of
"What's going on?"
speculation.
Well, Toprak has always said he prefers superbikes. He likes the superbikes. Tried MotoGP, wasn't too happy with it.
Yeah.
I spoke to Paul Denning last year in Donington, and he said Toprak didn't like it. Then he did the Jerez test, I think, and that solidified in his head. I don't like the MotoGP. In Toprak's statement to Yamaha when he was leaving, and on the official thing, he says, "For next season, I feel I need a new challenge, and whilst there was an opportunity in MotoGP, I didn't feel the same connection with the MotoGP bike that I have with the Superbike. Maybe that's Yamaha's issue, because Yamaha's MotoGP bike, as we know, is... But he said, but if I am to stay in motorbikes, then I need a new target and new ambition." And he was like, "I'm sorry to leave Yamaha." So he doesn't want MotoGP at all. Like, this was his last chance for MotoGP, realistically. He has gone, nah.
Yeah. I still can't really comprehend that because in my mind, I would always go MotoGP. Like, he always said he wanted to win the World Superbike Championship. He did that. And in my head, I was like, well, now you've got to go and do the unthinkable and go from World Superbikes to MotoGP and win the championship, which we haven't seen done before, as far as I'm aware.
No, no, we haven't.
And Toprak likes a challenge, and, like, I don't know if I just, like, want to see history being made and I'm too much of a, like, dreamer in that sense of, like, I would love to see it happen. So I was a bit like, I can't believe he's turning MotoGP down. Like, I can't fathom why you would do that.
Like, yeah. To say you've been a MotoGP rider, yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
But then, it opens so many doors because, like, there's a few things. So he's going to BMW, who are supposed to buy Rocket. So then, firstly, the question on a lot of people's mind is, will he then drop Red Bull, who've been a big sponsor of him for a long time? They pay him a lot of money. You know, Kenan Sofuoglu's whole entire thing is backed by Red Bull. They did a documentary recently for Red Bull with all the Turkish Kenan Sofuoglu riders. So if he can get around the Rocket thing and keep Red Bull, which I think he would have done in discussions.
Yeah.
Unless Rocket had been like, yeah, we'll pay you the same, don't worry, as Red Bull, which would be insane because Red Bull Turkey are paying Toprak insane money.
I'd see more likelihood of Red Bull taking over rather than the other way around.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
But then you also ask, who the hell's going to be next to him? Because Michael van der Mark's been injured, so he's not really had a long time to kind of prove himself this year. Scott Redding's just not happy, as always. So then, and then on the other hand, you're like, who the hell's going to replace him? Toprak. Because Paul Denning said the other week, I can't remember who it was too, but he would be very happy to have Domi there, even though he's 32. Age wouldn't mean a thing. Remy as well could be a very good place there. And then you're like, okay, if they go up, GRT, who's going to go there? Bradley Ray and Tara McKenzie would be two very good options. Cam Peterson from Moto America would be a great option as well. Then you look to British Superbikes. and there's, Carl Ryde, or you could even look at like Tommy Bridewell or whatever. They're a bit older, but again, maybe a season World Superbike for them, but I can't see that happening, to be honest. But, you've got younger riders like Carl Ryde, for example, or Ryan Vickers, who's already done a World Superbike. There are a lot of riders who could move up. I'd love to see Taron or Brad Ray on it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ahead of myself here.
I mean, it really does throw the door open in terms of World Superbikes. Like, I feel like we talked so much about MotoGP silly season that World Superbike was the one that maybe we should have actually been keeping our eye on. I didn't expect Toprak to actually go. Obviously, once he said that he wasn't going MotoGP, your two options were he wants to win, so he's going to go on a Ducati, or he wants to replicate what he did with Yamaha and build the team up and take a championship that way.
Yeah, and they're taking a top rider as well. Thing is, though, it's annoying because BMW, I don't know what it is. They got Michael van der Mark, who had finished, I think, third in the championship. He's won loads of races on the Yamaha in Superbikes. And he won a sprint race on it, of course. Got a few podiums, but he's not done great on it. Scott Redding hopped on the Beamer as a multiple podium finisher and championship contender. And again, has struggled endlessly on it. And you're like, maybe Toprak's a chosen one and he can make it work. Because it works in other championships, like Cameron Bobier, for example, is getting podiums in America, and it works in BSB.
Yeah.
Danny Buchan got wins on it. Leon Haslam's got podiums and things on it. Why does it not work a bit World Superbike?
I don't know. I'll give Scott Redding the benefit of the doubt at the minute. Just Michael van der Mark being out does not help.
Yeah.
It goes to show when you don't have your teammate there, whether you get on with them or not, being one person down and having to have replacement riders in, etc., it hurts the team as a whole.
Massively.
So, for that reason, obviously, I don't think Scott Redding's probably in the best team environment at the minute. But honestly, that's a really scary lineup if it were to be Toprak and Scott. And if they managed to turn it around, that would be a really fun championship, I think, if they would be able to bring that bike up to the top and challenge the Ducati. If Johnny Ray can bring the Kawasaki back up to the top too, it would make the championship back to what it was 2 years ago. And that'd be really, really fun.
Yeah, because at the moment it's just
Ducati. Yeah.
I just wish the Ducati had put the money on the table for Toprak.
But then
Bautista and Toprak in the same team would have been unbelievable.
But what? So then you've just got what you've got now.
Yeah, but you've got two guys battling against each other.
Would they though?
1-2s.
Equal machinery. One of them's still going to perform better than the other.
That's true. That is true.
And they're going to have one right. Like Ducati are quite known for having a number 1 and 2 rider. So
yeah. And Bautista would want to be the number 1 because of his most recent
he would
achievement.
be the number 1 because he's won the championship.
He's been there longer as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, Toprak going to BMW would be a clear number 1.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seems like, and I'm praying it's not this way. It seems a bit like career suicide because
no, it is.
You're leaving like Yamaha.
Well, not only did he close the door on MotoGP, but he's closed the door on Yamaha as a whole. Yeah,
and BMW have a lot of money. They throw a lot of money and they build bikes, and they've literally put a new M1000RR out a few years ago, and they've updated it for this year. It's a very powerful engine, which could benefit Toprak and the straights and things like that, of course. But I'm, aside from money, struggling to understand why he would go. Again, it's the whole thing like Valentino Rossi, when Valentino Rossi went to Yamaha to try and be the superhero and fix the bike, which he did, of course.
Well, that's the thing.
We all know
can
Rossi's
work.
Yamaha story, but so many riders have already gone to BMW and struggled and failed.
I think as well, when you look at the likes of, say, Johan Mir and Honda doing the whole I'm going to be the person to make this a championship winning bike again. In the last couple of years, I haven't seen anyone do it. So it really does sort of make you panic.
But Keenan Savoglu is a smart man. He's obviously Toprak's manager. He wants nothing but the best for Toprak, and maybe there's a lot of things they know that we don't. But the amount of people I've seen who've made these moves to try and better their career or be the hero, and bitten them on the arse. Daniel Ricciardo is a great example.
Oh, that would reduce me to tears when I think about it, to be honest. And I wasn't even a Formula One fan back then.
No.
Oh.
And, left Red Bull, went Renault, struggled, went to McLaren, struggled even more, and not even got a seat now.
He'll be back.
Yeah, he will. I think so. But, so many people try and be the hero, and...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to watch World Superbikes without a Toprak right at the front.
Not many
to be
teams
honest.
would take you back either, is the thing, once you've ended something like that.
Yeah. Valentino Rossi is a special case when he returned to Yamaha because he's Valentino Rossi and his leverage.
Yeah, and look what he did when he came back is the thing. Like, they knew what they were getting themselves into with that. And
after 2 years on the Ducati, like, it was a risk, but it paid off.
Yeah.
But I don't know, so many good riders have gone to BMW and it struggled. And like I said, like, it works in BSB, it works in Moto America, it works in the German Championships, it's worked in the Spanish Championships. It doesn't work in World Superbikes. I don't know why. Like, Tom Sykes, I think, has tested it recently. I don't know if he's going to race it or not. But he was great on the Beamer a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they got rid of him, to be honest. He was superb on it.
Well...
Because they replaced him with Scott Redding, didn't they?
Yeah. I think so, anyway. I just said really confidently, like I knew the answer to that.
Yeah, trusting me now is dangerous.
No idea. But
yeah.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt until we're at this point in the season next year and things will either be great or things are going to be bad.
Terrible. For his sake, I hope they're great and I hope he slaps everybody up on it.
But for the championship's sake too, I can't deal with another year. Batista just running away with it.
No, I'm like, I can't bother watching this stuff anymore. Like, it's a frustrating World Superbikes because they were on the cusp of being, like, I always said it was better than MotoGP.
It was
those last
for
few
a while.
years. It was, yeah. And I always said it was on the cusp of maybe even overtaking MotoGP and like becoming the main thing to watch and all that.
Yeah.
And it's just falling apart in front of our eyes. And Johnny Reyes not even like anywhere near now, and he's crashing and he's struggling like hell. Toprak is getting seconds every round.
2021 was a big year for both championships, I think.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the switch has gone back to MotoGP, because obviously Toprak and Fabio both won in those years. And I think in 2021 the racing was more exciting in World Superbikes. But since then, I think that MotoGP has been getting better.
MotoGP's better
and
again now, yeah.
It's slowly, definitely now ahead of World Superbikes.
Yeah. Like, because I was tempted to go, because I went Donington World Superbike last year and it was great. I was tempted to go again this year, but I'm like, do I really want to go and just watch Bautista win again?
I was going to go, but
Probably
I'm on holiday, so...
Oh yeah, that's alright, isn't it? I mean, if I get some paddock passes for the day, I'll go down, but I'm like, I don't really want to be buying hotels and stuff like I did last year for it, because it's just not worth it. Like, because I went to BSB at Donington the Friday just gone, and that was great.
Yeah, I'm going to Knock Hill in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, nice.
I've never been.
You'll have to speak to Max Cook.
I know, I'll have to go around, because I've spoken to quite a few people with the sailing lap as well, so I'll have to go around and find. I'll be like collecting Pokemon, find all the riders.
Yeah. But because there's a few faces about, like, I saw Jake Dixon at Donington Friday.
Yeah, I seen that. He's down with Danny Buchan.
Yeah, and run around with Jack Nixon as well, because Jack split with his team as well. But yeah, it's just funny, innit? I just like BSB as well because it's open paddock and all that.
Both Lowe's were there as well.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I saw them milling about. Gino Ria, I saw Gino Ria as well. He was milling about.
Love that.
Yeah, it's nice to see him about. After his injuries last year. But yeah, I'm just 6 more seconds and we're at an hour, so I think we can wrap it up. Yeah, there we go. 1 hour. But yeah, I think we can wrap the podcast up now. Is there anything you want to say, or you're good?
I think that's everything. I'm just a bit mind-boggled this last week. I don't know what's going on anymore. But
No, it's just carnage, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
I'm intrigued to see what happens next, to be honest.
nothing for a wee while, I hope. Break would be
Yeah,
nice, where nothing
yeah, it would.
happens. But
We shall see.
that'll not happen.
No, it never happens. It's a motorsport for you.
Yeah, I feel like something big will happen before Mugello.
Oh, I hope so. I'm not sure what.
I don't know. Do you think Mugello will be exciting this year?
Mugello is my favourite racetrack in the world. As you can see, you won't be able to see the viewers. That is Mugello right there.
Oh, I didn't even realise that.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll find it quick.
I've-
It's terrible for the viewers, but
I've never been.
it's a wooden cutout of Mugello.
Oh, cool. Yeah, see, my dad has one of
Yeah.
those, but for the Isle of Man. I got it made for him.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, just Mugello.
Have you
innit?
been?
No, but my dad and stepmom went, and they were like, "It's sick."
Oh, cool.
But I don't know what it is. Like, I always want to go. Like, if I go to any track in the world, Mugello would be it. Moto3 races there are insane every year
Yeah.
as well.
See, I think that'll be good. I'm excited for Moto3 because it was crazy last year, or was it 2 years ago? No, I think
Every
last
year.
year was. Oh, because Dennis Foggia fell off and all last year. It was exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
Like every year, it's like
yeah.
25 riders battling. I remember, I think it was Mugello 2016 was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen a race like it. It was unreal. Because it was like, riders would be going from 12th to 1st over the straights.
Yeah.
And then by the first corner, they'd be first. By the end of the first corner, they'd be 5th again. You're like, what the hell?
I kind of love that though.
Oh, yeah, that's what Moto3's about, though.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we love Moto3. But yeah, it's just... Yeah, like if I could go to any track, it'd be Mugello.
Yeah.
And you have to go down some like really weird, tiny, winding roads to get there as well, apparently.
Oh, really? See,
And it's
Mazzano's
quite hard to get
good.
to.
I really like Mazzano. But it's, to be fair,
Yeah.
it's the
Oh, yeah,
only one
you've
I've
been,
been
haven't
to, so I can't really say much.
You haven't been to Silverstone,
No.
have you?
Never been to Silverstone. I was going to go to Silverstone, but the price of a hotel, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's nuts. It is nuts. I don't know. There is a hotel at Silverstone as well, and I wonder if it's open on GP
I
weekends.
don't know if it's open
like,
or not.
That's because like I've seen TikToks of people and they've been like at the circuit and they wake up and they just get out of bed, go to the balcony, and George Russell's flying by.
I seen
Test
that.
it like it's on the track. It's like what the
He
hell?
was doing a test.
So imagine
or
that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine watching a MotoGP race from your hotel room.
I think I'd need to win the
That'd be
lottery to be
crazy.
doing that, but
Yeah, you have like 6K a night or something stupid like that.
yeah. Probably teams are using that hotel as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's like right on the track and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mugello soon. Very excited, like I said. Favorite track in the world, so yeah.
Someone sponsor us and we'll go.
Yeah. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? What's your favorite track in the world?
Do you know, after last year, probably Phillip Island.
And
And
that was a belter of a track.
I have some family friends that live out in Australia, and I think I have to take them up on their offer sometime of going over and
Do
doing a
it.
big trip.
Do it.
'cause
Once in
it
a lifetime thing,
sounds-
isn't it?
Sounds amazing, and last year in particular, the racing, like that was the best race of the season last year.
Oh, best race of the last few years, to be
Yeah,
honest.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I'd have to say Phillip Island. Otherwise, like obviously Mazzano because I've been there, but I'd need to go to a few more before I decide that that's actually my favorite.
Yeah. What about like for me Aragon as well? Like I don't know, I love Aragon.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just love Aragon. It's weird, isn't it?
It always look it. Well, it is a desert pretty much.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just a really good
Jerez
track. I
looked
find.
unreal. I'm not gonna lie. I was really jealous of
Mm.
Jerez a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Her ref looks so
Le
good.
Mans looked a bit too crazy for me, but
Yeah. Yeah, because like, yeah, it's just a bit chaotic, wasn't it?
just a lot of people. It was like
And you're like,
280,000 people over the weekend. I'm like, I don't really want to be in the middle of that.
No, it's. I don't think we'll see those numbers continue, to be honest. But
Well, viewership has
Be
gone
nice.
up. I was looking at this earlier. I can't.
Has it gone up from last year? Or has it gone up from 2019? Because that's the important thing.
That's
Because if
a
it's
good question. Let's see.
because here we go. So increased TV weekend audience is a sizable 27%.
Yeah.
But they've not said when that is. Yes, it increases by 51% on Saturdays. But
Oh, true. I never even thought of that. When's that from?
like they've not given a stat. Like, yes, it could be up 27% on last year, but that's great. But for the last few years it's minus 30, minus 30, minus 30,
Yeah.
then it's still down from 2019 when it was at its peak.
Misano
So-
felt really quiet last year when I was there.
Yeah, let's have a look. Misano.
I
don't
think
know
the
if I can find it.
figures were down in Misano anyway.
2022. Was it 2022 you went?
Yeah.
Doesn't say how many people were there. That's annoying.
Tickets were really expensive. They're really expensive again this year. I had a look.
It's quite like a wealthy place to go, though, isn't it? Like a wealthy place to live.
It must be. I mean, it's a nice part of Italy, I have to say. Like, the surrounding area was lovely. It's so easy to
Yeah.
get to as well.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And it's easily connected.
Mm.
And you can walk to the circuit
Just-
from Misano itself. Like,
Can you?
Oh, yeah.
Walk there.
yeah, we stayed in
That's
Misano.
great.
And there was like a little, like, bus thing. That there was literally a sign by a roundabout. And we seen it the year before. And we went, I wonder where that picks you up. And we seen the sign. And it had nothing else on it apart from, like, literally just said, like, Misano Circuit on it. And we stood there one morning and it showed up and it was like €2. And you just got taken to the
ace.
circuit. And then we just
That's
walked
ace.
home every day and it was like a half an hour max walk all downhill back down to
pretty
Misano
good.
itself.
That's pretty good.
Like, it's
I like that.
so easy to get to.
That's great. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend going there for anyone if they're looking
Yeah.
for a circuit to go to because it's so easy to get to.
Might have to have a look. Yeah, because my dad went as well. He went to Misano as well.
Yeah, I think I've talked my dad into it. I think we're going to go this year,
Nice.
but we'll have to
Do it.
see. We'll have to see.
Go to Mugello instead.
When is Mugello? No, that's in like 2 weeks'
like
time.
2 weeks. Screw it.
We're
get a
gonna
random
try
plane
Knock Hill
ticket, yeah.
first and see if we don't kill each other as a family before we decide if we're going to any more
Yeah.
motorbike races together. So
It's fucking freezing up there though.
yeah,
There's like a big hills and stuff around the
well,
circuit
it's
there that
Scotland
looks really
full
nice.
stop. So I'm
Yeah.
packing for winter, to be honest.
Yeah. Aw. I've just googled Knock Hill Circuit and today somebody dies 2 days after a motorbike crash at the racetrack. That's very sad, isn't it?
Oh.
Rest in peace. His name is Chris Adam. Rest in peace, bro. But yeah, that's very sad, isn't it?
So
Um,
bad.
Yeah, jeez. But yeah, there's like a massive like hill behind Knock Hill, and you always see the riders and stuff on it,
Yeah.
like stood on it after the like after the races and stuff.
Oh,
But yeah, Knock Hill looks really good.
I've never been. My family's all been
Yeah,
before. I don't know why I didn't go the last time. So
It's freaking crazy. I can't believe they race superbikes around it. To be honest, absolutely cannot believe. But yeah, it's crazy.
it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be really
Oh my
good.
god, just I sent you a picture of the thing with Tog stood in the middle of a track, which doesn't look dangerous as
Oh
hell
my
at all.
god.
Mm.
Oh, is this the hill that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay. I'm like,
Yeah, all the riders just stand on top of it. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah, I'm just chatting rubbish now.
Delirious at this
probably,
point.
Yeah, it's probably a good time to end the podcast.
I feel like we've talked about
Um,
everything necessary over the last week. In fairness.
Yeah, I think so. But yes, I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. We're back next week with our, I guess, Mugello preview. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. Quick shout out to everybody who is subscribed to us. Of course, we appreciate you all. We did a bonus episode for you the other week. Hope you enjoyed that one where we discussed. I'm just logging in because it logged me out for whatever reason. Realistically, what MotoGP can do to grow its presence and what we believe it can do. And also our predictions for next year's MotoGP grid.
Which were
where
all
we
wrong.
talked about Toprak and are now all wrong, yeah. Which is great.
I fought for
Um,
Toprak in that episode too, and that was literally a
did.
week ago today. Oh no,
And then the
2 weeks ago.
and we talked about Jorge Martin to Yamaha, and then the day after they're like, oh yeah, he's not going to go Yamaha at all. And we're like, yeah, great, love that.
He's going
But
somewhere.
yeah, he's staying. I think he's going to stay.
I don't know.
We'll see. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed, and we'll be back next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.